You simply cannot reframe the direction or the narrative of your company unless you're in the proper headspace. You know the routine by now. Sit back, strap in, because we're going for a ride.
Oh, Bryan, mental health.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very big topic, and I'm grateful that we are much more open as a society these days to talking about mental health. We're our generations. I think we held everything inside. We were told to rub some dirt on it and move on. But as business owners, I think we've both encountered those moments where you realize that something is amiss, something is off, and you have to navigate your way through it. Fortunately, we have each other. We have a nice circle of people that we can also kind of chat with. Not everyone is so fortunate, but let's set this off. Let's talk a little bit about mental health and sort of striking a balance and making sure that you're not even a balance, putting yourself first so that you're absolutely taking care of what's most important, so that you can continue to do what you love and also take care of those people around you. Where should we begin? Plan. It's a big topic.
Well, coming up through business, people love to brag about how hard they worked on something. We were guilty of it. 48 hours straight on a project to deliver it to the deadline. The resources required, the when people do flights now, they look straight ahead and they don't do anything, and it's some kind of badge of honor to sit on an 8-hour flight staring at the back of your seat. It's not. It's just not. We came from a culture that respected and admired it, but really what's to be admired is working smarter, working better, maybe even working faster. But most importantly, realizing that the work-life balance is bullshit. And we'll do an episode probably on that. It's bullshit. What you are doing is compromising. You either are compromising what you're doing for work or you're compromising what you're doing on the home front. But it's a compromise. So why are we rewarding ourselves, patting ourselves on the back for working really, really hard on this, or I stayed in all weekend working on that? It's not admirable. It's what you had to do, but it's not admirable. And we've got to stop treating it that way. I think that's the first mark of how to identify mental health, the mental health conundrum. We want to excel, but we also are killing ourselves while trying to excel. So where do you find that balance? And finding that balance is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice. There's no such thing as a work-life balance. You can approximate it, but you can't get there from here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack there in what you just said.
And it was very dark. Sorry about that.
And it was very no, that's okay. And here's the thing. First and foremost, for everyone watching, we're not mental health professionals. We're just two guys who've been running a business for, not going on, 22 years. And we have had all of the highs and all of the lows in business. And also, we're very good friends. We're like brothers. And so we know everything about each other's lives. And we know when each of us is in a space where we need a little extra support of some kind. A little bit of space or just a little bit of just something to kind of get us through whatever that is. And usually it's just a discussion that's happening. There's a lot to unpack there. So there's I think that badge of honor, I think, is a good one. I think there was a long time where we were, trained, right? Entrepreneur magazine, the tech bros, all these images, and we saw it a lot during COVID, where a lot of the imagery that we were being barraged with when a lot of people kind of came online as these new influencers on social, with the Ferraris and the this and those parties that were happening at the most exclusive of clubs, and people renting out portions of an airplane that couldn't fly, but it was just the cabin that they could rent for a couple of hours to do their video shoots in. We were all sort of being trained towards that, and we saw some of the unhealthy results. We see it all the time. We hear about whether it's the tech CEOs or founders and the bad outcomes that they have in their personal lives, sometimes ending pretty badly. You have all sorts of things happening with some of the influencers that were riding really high, but just the pressures really kind of got to them. And the same is true even with the smallest of businesses. Running a business is really hard. And sometimes the badges of honor are really masking some deeper problems with processes and systems and not having any. Or not being as organized as you would like to be. And so you're kind of pushing yourself into that place, almost as if it was as you put it in one of your notes, for when we were doing some notes on some of these, you had put like, we have to make sure that it's not treated like an essay due the next day in college, or the way some of us might have crammed back then. And I think a lot of times that's one of the things that happens. But we also like to have this proof to others of just how hard we're working. And it has a cost on absolutely everything. You mentioned work-life balance being bullshit, and I completely agree. I don't think there is anything such a thing as work-life balance. And I've heard others who have said that there's work-life harmony. And that's a better word. I actually look at it as a balancing of energy. The idea of the 9 to 5, if you're a business owner, the idea of the 9 to 5 can set up some, I think even that, unhealthy parameters. Because I think we've all been there before, where it's like 3 o'clock, we have nothing left in us, and yet we feel the need to just sit in front of the computer screen to say that we worked for those last 2 hours of the day, that we worked. That's not working. That's a very unhealthy practice. If you hit a wall, shut down, walk away, go get some daylight, go for a run, a walk, go play with your dog. Go spend some time with your family, all those types of things. I think we have to manage our energies in a very different way now, because managing a business, running a business is hard, and it can be lonely. Even in a partnership, running a business, you feel very isolated, and it's just you feel like it's just the two of you against the world sometimes, and that can be daunting. That can be really daunting. So you need some of the tools to really help mitigate that.
So I think there's a component here that immediately jumps into that reframe mentality, which is this: if you are a business owner, you are going to grind and you are going to burn. And anyone out there says, "Oh no, it's just it's wine and roses and cake all the time," I'd be suspect of. Being a business owner is full of ongoing depression, ongoing exhaustion, ongoing fear, ongoing panic, ongoing keep going, and we do it anyway. If you don't want that, don't do it. Work for somebody else. If you do want it because you see the upside and you see the reward, again, we talked about compromise. That's part of the compromise. You have to drag this stuff around with you. But there's a warning here. It leaks out all over the place. Your exhaustion, your fear of not paying your own mortgage, health care for the family, whatever it is, it will leak out all over the place. And you can't do anything about that, or can you? I would say the idea of mental health is to create an environment around you where it's okay not to be okay. But it's not an excuse. It can never be used as an excuse. Poor behavior is still poor behavior. I've been guilty of it. I've been guilty of poor behavior around others. And that poor behavior is my anxiety, my frustration bubbles to the surface. It can't do anything but help to. It's not something you can contain. So why not create an environment that is addressing the mental health issues head on? And that comes with what you're saying. 3 o'clock, I'm done. I'm going to go walk the dog. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to leave for the day. How is that met by employers? Is that met with well, you're going to owe me 2 hours? Or is that met with, I get it. Thank you for the work today. Go, enjoy. Or is it even met with we got further than we thought we'd get. why don't you take tomorrow morning off as well? See you around noon tomorrow. Just go have a good day, or hit the slopes. We've done that. Hey, go, you're a skier. Go hit the slopes today. We can do it. We will manage. I think it goes back to that. So I think mental health is first acknowledging you are not the picture perfect example of mental health if you're running a business. You can't be. You have too many things on you at any given time. And if you work for somebody like that, guess what? You're being subjected to all that. So the reframe has to come with acknowledging, understanding, and then creating a workspace that stuff doesn't bleed onto your colleagues and make their lives miserable. Put the stoicism away. It's okay not to be okay. Mm-hmm. So brush off, figure it out. We'll help here in just what we've done. It doesn't mean we're professionals in this, but acknowledging that your mental health absolutely has an impact on the mental health of everybody around you. Johnny and I are lucky. We do know each other like brothers. Johnny knows when I'm suffering and struggling. I know when he's suffering and struggling.
Same.
And while our struggles are similar, they're very different because we both have different other pressures pulling. So you compromise. You compromise with what you can give the company today, what you need to give home today, what you need to give your community today. These are all part of the compromise. It's not a balance. It can never be a balance. It can only be a distribution.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think, we'll get into some of the sort of, maybe tools that we utilize. And like Bryan said, we're each different from each other. And we each have our own tools that we utilize, and some we share. But we have our own tools that we use to kind of help get us through patches. It's interesting where you described what business ownership is, the constant, constant depression, constant stress, constant this, and it makes you wonder, what is it that makes people even want to get into business? And there is that drive there is. I mean, that's a very important question. And I think why is at the core of sort of what can help you begin to create some structure around how you function and how you work. I think that's an important piece. But you were going to say,
first, you have to admit it, though. You have to admit it.
Yeah.
You have to admit it's a struggle, because then the answer is, well, why do it? Well, because we want it to be less of a struggle. We want it to be less of a struggle for the people around us. We want it to be less of a struggle for us. We want it to be less of a struggle for our community. Everything we do has been about mitigating, and I'll say it, other people's stress when it comes to the job we do. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about that. Our entire career has been based on trying to allow our partners to feel held, to feel viewed, and to feel like we are working for them so that they don't have to worry about all the fine details we worry about.
Yeah.
So it's a weird balance. It's, I feel this way so that you don't have to, but how can I structure myself this way so that I don't have to feel it either? This is an important moment. Stop the tape. Rewind. Play that moment again and again until you fall asleep. It is. It's about understanding that there is a struggle and then mitigating it to the point where, you know what? I got this because I've got you, I've got me, I've got us. And part of that goes back to, while I'm doing that for others, I can't forget to do that for my own staff. The better I make the environment for my colleagues, the more this stuff gets mitigated and brush away and brush away. And that is actually an exciting part of management. It's an exciting part of being a business owner. This idea that I can take something that is impossible and make it not only tolerable, but make it enjoyable. So it's that quest for me personally that makes it better and better.
Yeah.
But everybody's going to be different. You're going to have a different take on this, and that's
sure. No, absolutely
got to be listened to.
And I do think that sometimes, depending on the person, and every individual is just different. It's literally the word individual, right? But in some cases, I think we can sometimes not see what others see, and we continue to kind of function. You talk about everything leaking out all over, and it certainly does. It can impact, in some cases, even ruin relationships. It can impact customer relationships, the work you're doing for your customers. I mean, I'll be very open. I think it was about four years ago or so. We were just coming out of the whole pandemic and all of that, and I lost two very important people in my life. Very important people, titans in my life, and I went through a extremely dark period during that, and it impacted client work. It did. Now, we got through it and came out on the other side of it, and I rebuilt and all that. Just kind of started to really kind of look at a bunch of different things in my life, and really kind of building out from there. But that was a very tough time, and I hid it from a lot of people, unfortunately, until it started to impact others. And it's one of those things that I look back now and I say, man, I should have reached out a little more, sought to speak to, whether it was to Bryan or to others, and really had really deep conversations about what was happening. I mean, heck, I got the call about one of them while we were about to catch a plane home from a filming that we were doing in Ohio, I think it was. And I had to divert my flight from going home to going to a different place because of it. And, it was very, very tough.
Yeah.
I think I guess my point is that there are times when sometimes maybe you have to hit a little bit of a bottom, and hopefully it's not too bad of a bottom. That's the danger here, is that if you hit too hard of a bottom, it can be much harder and take much longer to build back and get back to where you need to be. Fortunately for me, it was a dark time, but I was able to find my way out and really get some good habits around it. And now I'm much quicker to recognize if I'm in a space. And also there were a lot of changes, so many lifestyle changes that I know I personally made, but also, Bryan, the way we work has really changed a lot, and the latitude that we have for what we need to do, and also really understanding. We go back to energies, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the tools part of this, where really understanding your energy and knowing that in your 24 hours of your day, really get to know who you are and where do you work best for this type of work and this type of work. And when that call comes in that family needs you for whatever it is, how can you better support your family members? And when that happens, are you beating yourself up because you're not at work, or are you happy with the fact that you're getting to be a massive support for your family? Mm-hmm. And that work will be there when you come back. I mean, that's part of it, is understanding yourself, understanding where your energies are best, and then putting those energies to work in those times. You get a lot more accomplished than trying to fight those energy lulls that you might have in the afternoon or something like that.
Yeah, and you remember a couple of years before your downfall, I hit the same. I had a loss of a parent, dissolution of a marriage, and a family member, a young family member, who within 3-week window, this all started to unravel. And no matter how much I continued working on and creating a facade, things were happening. I started breaking out in rashes. I started having weird little quiet breakdowns here and there. And you hit that bottom and you realize there's a better way. And the better way isn't to power through. Part of it is. Part of it is you've got to determine what works for you in order to get through crisis moments. But there's something about these moments, I think, that allowed us to be able to be better managers, to realize, oh my gosh, if I have an outburst, if I have a breakdown, it's affecting the people, not you so much, but the people around me. So then it becomes this person is having a crisis in their life, and while I don't see the reason they're feeling such a burden, what can I do to be there for them? And we've had that. We've had certain employees who've had significant crisis in their lives, and some who've had very minor, according to us, crises, but to them it was the world. And the best you can do is the best you can do. And in this case, I think we were both sensitized to the point that it's sort of like, oh, my windshield of my car cracked. To some person, that's the end of the world. To somebody else, this is an inconvenience. I got to go take care of it at lunch. And you got to give both what they need. You got to give the person who sees it as the end of the world the space to live there and the space to know that they're supported, as well as the person who's going for lunch, the lunchtime windshield repair, to know that we got you. Don't worry about it. Go take care of that, and we'll see you later. And you have to be adaptable. And this isn't about business now. This is about being a human being. You have to take care of the mental health of those around you, because sometimes they don't know how to take care of it themselves, and sometimes they're afraid to take care of it. And if you're afraid to say what's eating you and the fear that you have, or even just live in that fear, you can't function. You are paralyzed. So part of this reframe is acknowledging in yourself you're not superhuman. Stop trying to be. Just stop it. It's not a badge of honor to work 48 hours straight. It's not a badge of honor to do X, Y, and Z, or, oh, I had to do all of this for... You got to give people the space where they live, but they also need to know that your environment is set up to be okay with that. If they don't fear coming in and telling you what's on their mind, then you've succeeded. If they do fear, then you are creating a toxic environment that doesn't look after mental health. And there are people out there who are going to watch this and poo-poo it. Mental health. Everybody seems to be upset about. The world is not an easy place right now. It hasn't been for a while. Business is not an easy place. And if you're talking about the creative industry, my gosh, we're constantly being beaten at every single turn by AI or by somebody who's offering, the services of like Fiverr, trying to outpace, outperform, out price you. Well, maybe now it's about out-prioritizing. Let's out-prioritize everybody else. And by that, I mean, take care of your clients the way you take care of your colleagues, the way you take care of yourself. And that is, make the problem a first tier response. Somebody's fearful. Let's do what we can to alleviate that fear. Somebody's depressed. What do you need at the moment? And maybe you don't know what you need. Let's see what we can do for it. Let's see what we can figure out just by knowing you. Hey, client, we know that this is chomping at your heels. Here is a problem we can solve. Don't have to act on it. Just know we're ready for you. It's that idea of being here to catch you when you fall. I think it is universal, and I think it can really help as long as you frame it in the space that mental health is different for everybody. It looks different for everybody. It doesn't make you soft. It actually gives you strength in ownership. If you can come out of the gate and you can say, I'm suffering, I'm struggling, I need help, and your team can do it, what a wonderful frickin' world that is. If you come out of the gate saying I have these problems and are mocked or looked down upon or passed over for a promotion, what is that telling you? And that's sort of why I sit here and I struggle with this topic.
Yeah, I think we struggle with this topic because it's so big. Because here's the other part of it too. Mental health is also the small moments. We painted a picture of some of the big moments in life. Death of a family member, that sort of thing. Those are big moments that you have to navigate in a whole different way. But mental health is also these very, very small moments of sometimes things that trigger deep-seated, moments, whether it's things like, we've all seen it, like the imposter syndrome or, the self-doubt and all these little things, or the not believing in that you can do a specific type of task or something like that, when all along that skill is within you. And so sometimes there are things that are in us that we have to figure out ways to uncover. And sometimes there are these small things that can help to trigger. That's part of it. The other one is also understanding that you can work in a way that keeps you very healthy, energetic, excited for everything that you're doing. Even the most mundane of tasks become, put a smile on your face because of what you're enjoying versus what you're chasing. So there are so much that's wrapped up in this. This is really not just one episode. This has to be, in each of these things we can break up into smaller pieces. I would like to, if it's okay, I was writing down the things that kind of hit, and I see it as almost like seven things that I think can kind of help to get people sort of reframing, how to reframe what you're going through, whether it's small or large, and how to mitigate it in the future, so that because life, it continues, life happens, and there will always be things that will be thrown at you in life, in business, all of it. So you have to be in a place where you're starting to kind of prepare for that. So the first one I wrote down is communicate, and being open to communicating with someone. It could be a coworker, it could be your boss, it could be your business partner, a family member, your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter, someone, a neighbor. Find someone that you can talk to. If it's very heavy content, get professional help. And there are a lot of ways to do it. It can be tough sometimes to find the right one, but there are a lot of tools, including some online, that you can now use to get some help on that end. So if it's a very, big issue, consider doing that. But communicating, I think, is one of the first ones.
And I think it's important at this moment to say it's not a sign of weakness.
It is not a sign of weakness.
I think that's the biggest fear people have, that it's a sign of weakness to admit you're struggling or to seek help. It's more about, how do I organize this influx, this tidal wave of feeling, emotion, whatever it happens to be? How do I organize it best so that I can wade through it and get to the other side?
Yeah,
so sorry,
that's a great
I didn't mean
way.
to interrupt, but I think it's important.
No. I think it's a big one. I think everyone needs to realize, from the smallest event to the biggest, it's not weakness. It's actually a big strength to realize, like, I have people that I need to rally around me and to get through this, and that's part of, I think, the victories, and I think in that is when you see those people. And we go back to our very first episode, and we talk about the community that rallied around us when our business nearly shut its doors. That was a big moment. So it's a strength. So that was communicate, making sure that you're talking with folks or finding those that you can speak to, whether it's friends or professionals. Managing your energy through the day, really get to know who you are, when you work best. If you find that, some people will say, like, go to bed early and wake up early and this much sleep. I was like, yeah, you should get a good amount of sleep. But some people actually can time shift, and they maybe work better late at night. And it's best if they use their mornings for other things. You'll know yourself best. Don't subscribe to what everyone else is doing. Find what works best for you and try to see if you can tailor what you do. That way that your best work for your clients and your best for your family and the best for you is happening at the times where it needs to happen. So managing your energy. Exercise and sleep. Those are huge. Bryan, you've been walking 4 miles a day.
5 now.
5 miles a day, man, I love it. I'm a regular at my gym. Mm-hmm. Having an outlet where you're in constant motion, where you're able to work some of the stress out, do some thinking. That's a great time for the file cabinets to get to work while you're walking, or a great time to listen to some music or a podcast or something, or just nature, just silence. Just listen to your feet as they're walking. Something to get you out and moving, preferably outside. That's an amazing thing. And then sleep, making sure that you're sleeping. Rest and recovery is absolutely critical. Sometimes you gotta schedule it and say, like, you know what, it's okay. Today I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna watch a couple of movies. I'm gonna do a double feature for myself. Or today I'm gonna go and do this, or I'm gonna go for a hike, or I'm gonna go to my favorite restaurant with my friends, or just go hang out in the backyard. doing nothing, just resting and recovering. Your body and your brain needs it. That's a huge one. This one for me, building a community, I think is a good one. And I think back to those moments where I was in that place, and fortunately I have others around me. But if you're like a solopreneur, let's say, and you're struggling, it's really important to be able to have folks that you can call to say, hey, I really need help on this edit because I have a deadline coming up, but I'm, having a tough time right now. Is it possible? Can I, transfer this edit to you and we can talk about it? That way it keeps moving, or a shoot or something to that effect. Building a community of people who can come in and help on certain elements helps to keep things moving along while you're doing what you need to get yourself back on your feet. So building a community of people, and that also goes with people that you can speak to. It could be other pros. I find that other pros are very open to just talking, and sometimes they're grateful that you open the door to that conversation because they need somebody to talk to too. So building community is huge. These last two I think are very personal for me, and one of them is enjoying the actual journey itself. We have a whole episode about comparing yourself to others, and it's really about, when you think about your why, and why are you doing this, and where do you want to be, I start smiling thinking about this stuff, and then you start to actually enjoy the journey. Instead of that final product for the client is always a lot better because you've been enjoying every single stage of the way. And we've talked about that in the past in some episodes. We're going to be talking a lot more about that, but finding a way to really enjoy that journey of everything that you're going through and doing with your clients, with your family, all of those things, finding those moments that you can enjoy. That's huge. And the last one is personal growth, because sometimes, you mentioned, Bryan, you talked about sometimes you'll have folks who they'll have something that to us seems like that doesn't seem like something that would stop you in your tracks, but to them it's the world. Yeah. And most of the time that's a symptom of something that perhaps they need to grow into. They need to experience some growth in some part of their life to help them overcome some sort of thoughts that they have about who they are or what have you. It wasn't necessarily about that moment. It was about something much deeper. And putting in that work of personal growth, I think, is huge. Personal development, learning, and then doing the work of, really discovering who you are, I think is a big part of it too. So I think all of these things kind of come together because mental health is a big, big topic, and we don't want to minimize it by saying one person's struggles is more or less than this one here. They're all the same, but there are ways to mitigate, get perspective on certain ones, and ways to get help on others that are much larger than any one person can handle alone. So yeah, those are my sort of 7 that I sort of look at when I think of this.
I think as we sort of bring this around to the backside of this, my statement of the down part of being an owner, boss, manager person is critical here. And I'm speaking truth to these words because all you hear if you're in this when you're at a mixer is, oh, things are going smashingly well. And this, you don't see the darkness. We all have it at different phases, but anyone who says otherwise is a liar. Instead, embrace something, which we got to, when we were on a job in Switzerland, it blew us away that the community, we had an interview with the CEO arranged of a company, and he's like, he knew the time, etc. He's like, now I'm going to go take a nap. I'll see you in an hour. They have a nap room specifically so that people can go at any point in time and just go nap and get refreshed and do what they need to do. But it was, nope, you can wait, this can't. And I love that. There was something charming, and it wasn't done in a rude way. It wasn't done in a, you're not important, I am. It was more like, I need this. And it's like, okay.
That was actually his daily nap time. Yeah. Like we the way we work here, I just push through. But he had it was his set nap time. I never forgot that.
So, I mean, that idea of prioritizing the nap time or the space or the whatever, we've got to get better at this. If our colleagues see that it's okay to openly admit to stress, depression, fear, whatever. I remember when my father died. I wasn't sitting there like, I'm depressed. Yeah, I was working through it and I was pushing it away and I just kept pushing. How much easier would it have been on everybody if I'd been like, hey, I'm in not a good space. Can y'all just make sure you double check everything I'm doing? Like, could you? Like, even that is so benign, but it's saying, yeah, Bryan's not in a good space. Okay. That would have made a difference. And I think it would have made a difference to everybody we worked with. As is, I pushed through. I don't think anybody except for you really saw the internal struggle I was going through, but I'm sure it oozed out. I'm sure there were little seepages. And I think that if we acknowledge the fact that you just need time sometimes. Now, the flip side is this can't become excuses. That becomes the problem. So if you can create a culture where people can openly acknowledge their struggle, then you also start inviting them to come up with solutions as well. Not solutions for their struggle, but, hey, could you take care of this edit for me? Hey, could you do this? You went out of town recently and you set me up with a crew I had never worked with before. And you said, do you trust me? And it was important at that moment that I implicitly trusted you. And I don't say that lightly. I don't like working with people I've never worked with first on a project that isn't mine to begin with to move forward. But it's like, okay, Johnny needs this. What can I do? Okay, I can do A, I can do B, I can do C. I'm prepped to do D, E, and F if need be, and it won't be nearly as good as working side by side with Johnny, but if everything goes south, I've got him covered. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. That's part of it. Our own fears, our own trepidations, our own shortcomings can't enter into the picture of taking care of everybody's mental health.
Yeah.
Our fear, and I'm saying like, our fear is that our employees are gonna use this to their advantage and leave us high and dry. Not if you create a culture where that's not the case. Not if you create a culture where each individual is helping each other out. Not just management to employee, but employee to employee. And that comes from leading the way and saying, I'm having a really hard day. I just need someone to just look at my work, make sure I'm doing it okay. I think I am, but just make sure, please.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything more than that. Acknowledge, ask for help, show what help looks like, and expect that help to arrive.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're not going to get employees that take advantage of this. You're going to get employees who are open to this and are thankful for this.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw in Switzerland, this idea of like, nope, even if it isn't my scheduled time, I need to go take a nap. And everyone's like, cool, get it, totally get it, go for it.
Yeah. And we could do an hour episode on this because you opened up another door, which is when it becomes an excuse. And that's a dangerous slope.
Yes.
And it's on us as, if we're going to be business owners, or even if you want to have a fruitful career in any industry, any line of work, you do have to be accountable to yourself to get the help you need to be a functioning member of a team, or even to have a really functional life. And, it's an easy thing to say. I know that there are folks who are going through very dark periods, but that's where the professional help really comes in. I'm talking about the everyday small moments that with a little perspective you can see like, oh, that's not as big of an impact, and I can deal with that. Let me take a few minutes to really get angry about it, yell about it, mourn the it could be something as mundane as, oh, I just had this a bagel that I got and it fell on the ground, and in some cases it could kind of ruin your day, right? Because maybe that happens and then somebody cuts you off in traffic and then you hit a traffic jam, and it feels like there's this ripple effect of all these moments. But sometimes in those instances, it's just getting that ability to have that perspective, to understand like, oh, this was just an isolated incident. Let me figure out a tool that I can use to reset my brain, like right now, like reset and then hit what's up next. Or what I've done sometimes is if I have a day like that, then I said like, hey, Bryan, I'm just going to be organizing X, Y, and Z. I've got music going, and that's my day. Because you don't want to stop your company from moving forward. It has to move forward. And so you still have to be accountable to that. And that's where managing your energies, having systems in place, setting those Genesis deadlines to get things done and get them moving. Because as with all things, the more time we give it, the more time we will take. And but you have to get these things, I think, in line for all of those other systems to work. You got to manage your energy, your time, and your mental health, and make sure you're giving yourself what you need to function at your best, just in life. Like, honestly, business is secondary. Life is first. Your family, your friends, your relationships, making sure that you're putting that time and energy to that.
So, to wrap it up, 3 things. First of all, create a system. Start with a system. You have 10 days of grind. How are you as a manager going to divide up that time so that inside of that grind, you have pressure relief valves, places where your employees can go and not be part of it for a while and then come back in. And it could be a rotational, but it's that idea of 10 days of grind. I got to give my people time to recover, time to come back in. It's almost like a workout. They're going to work out for a while. They're going to go recover the muscle. They're going to come work for a while. They're going to go recover the muscle. What are you going to do? So time away, time in the grind to not be in the grind. Secondly, are you able to rely on them, and are they able to rely on you? And part of that gets away from the stoicism of the situation. Don't be a martyr. Don't make it seem like it should be easy for everybody. It's not. So own that and realize that they need to own it too. And 3, what is your response when somebody comes to you? Get that done now. What is your response? I don't care if it's as simple as they got a paper cut on the way into the office and that ruined their day. What are you prepared to do to help them be the best they can be under all these situations and know that they can come to you? Because unfortunately, like it or not, you're not just a boss, you're not just an owner. You are part therapist, you are part family member, you are part banker, you are part all of these things for this person. Start acting like it. Just start acting like it. Mental health comes into... If you can't start acting like it, go work for somebody else. Please don't be a manager or a boss. Right. You have to take this seriously because something's going to happen and you're on the hook for that. So be proactive.
And make sure you're modeling the behavior that you wish everyone else to have. So
and
be very vocal.
If you're not, just learn from your mistakes and get better and get better. Yeah. I haven't always been here with certain things. I've been there. I've been there. We've been working our way through and getting better and better. So get better. Just get better. Yeah. Make it a determination that that's part of what you're trying to accomplish.
Whew. This was a big one. And we went longer than we normally do with our episodes, but this is a topic. I mean, it's a big topic. And I think it's one of those that we're going to revisit over time and perhaps even isolate some small tools or things that we do for specific instances and things like that, because
I think we can definitely hone in on one thing per and really get to it quickly but efficiently. And I agree with you. Awesome.
All right. Awesome. Well, this was a great conversation. Really glad to have that time and grateful to have all of you on with us. And we're going to see you guys on the next one.